Knowing that this was the end played into my decisions because I wanted it to feel full circle. We've seen this group grow, but as much as you grow, you still maintain your core values and your core style. We're here in our costume warehouse at CineSpace in Atlanta, Georgia, in the middle of production of season 5. I've been lucky to be on this show since season 3, and each season gets bigger and bigger, and in order to accommodate that, we need more clothes every time. The scope is much larger in a very contained way. We're actually seeing less costume changes this season, but that requires more work on a costume department to have multiples that can be dirty or bloody or gooey, and it's a darker season. This season's a little bit more serious and heavy because they are fighting for their town and their lives against this monster, but we also want to make it fun for the audience to watch. So while we're doing some more muted colors, we still have pops of fun fashion. Last season was 86, we're now in November of 87. So tonally, it's autumnal, it's fall. I was excited to get to add layers, sweaters, jackets. That was new for me.
At long last, we can begin.
This is Hopper, season 5. So we found this archived leather jacket from Guest. We were grateful enough that they recreated the jacket for us in mini multiples because we need so many. He wears this as his armor for going into the Upside Down, and my inspiration for the shirt and pants of it, this matches the military pattern of somebody in the Chemical Corps.
I get over there, I must test well, and they put me in the Chemical Corps.
In order to kind of infuse that into the character of the pockets, the placement of the pattern matches a Chemical Corps uniform. It's not the same color, but I liked that I could kind of infuse that into the outfit. Knowing they're in the Upside Down, I wanted something dark but light enough to still stand out in that dark color. The right side up is usually in regular daylight. The Upside Down is in a very cold blue, dark light. So sometimes we have to actually physically change the multiples to match the location. This is a new character. This is Derek. Derek is the school bully of Holly's class. Holly Wheeler has a bigger role this season. So we're seeing more kids her age, and Derek is one of them. I imagined a darker, more brooding bully, but when I saw his beautiful, like, angel cherub face, I saw how sweet he was, and I wanted the costume to reflect that. He's still quite innocent and still only a bully because he's being bullied. A box of crayons was kind of my inspiration. I loved the primary colors of this sweater. This is something we made custom for the show. Along with this custom vest with the buffalo check print, this fabric was huge in like the fall of the 80s. He's the kid that always wears shorts in the winter, and the Duffer brothers were like, we know this kid exists. So he was down to be in the winter in shorts, and he looked great in them. We complement this with these weapon sneakers from Converse. His family is pretty affluent, so he would have current fashion, and I think it makes sense to give him a high top that's just like of substance. 11 wears this training outfit at the beginning. She's training for Vecna, so I knew Millie would want to be comfortable. What we ended up finding was this Imogen and Willie sweatshirt that we cut the sleeves off and cropped it a little bit more. I wanted to be able to show Millie's figure, and so we have this custom Henley shirt that's worn underneath. Then there was this weird fashion moment in the 80s, kind of inspired by Josh Brolin of the Goonies, sweat shorts over sweatpants. We made these custom with the vintage trim from International Silks and Woolens in Los Angeles. We went through maybe 10 or 15 different reds to get the color right, to get the texture right. Same with the sweatpants. I think these are alternative apparel sweatpants that we put a stirrup on underneath so that they'd stay tucked into her custom Nikes. Nike was so kind to make us a Field General High sneaker for the show. In fact, they didn't have a pattern of the shoe. So they actually had to acquire their own sneaker, tear it apart, make a pattern, and rebuild it. So it's exciting to get to have that on the show for this season. So this is an outfit that was script specific. We knew that 11 was going to get a wetsuit from Murray. Murray is the one that's bringing in goods to the town because they're under quarantine. The bros were specific that it should feel like it comes from a sporting goods store. So initially I thought of Body Glove. They're now manufactured in Japan. So they were able to recreate an archive piece. They made us about 20, I think, because again, she has quite a lot of action in it. And then we made some adjustments just for her comfort. It was so tight and hot. And I said, okay, let me think about this. What would 11 do? 11 would cut. 11 would make it comfortable. Why don't we? So we cut it, and then we made some adjustments just for her comfort. We added some mesh so that it would be more breathable. We added a little pee hole so that she could use the restroom. An easy outfit can seem simple, but there's actually quite a lot of modifications for it because an actor can wear it for so long that you need to make sure they stay comfortable.
Eat your damn Hi.
Erica's older this season, so we're seeing her grow into like a young teenager. Because we're a longer production, we're able to make sweaters, which is rare for television because it moves so fast. So we made these custom knitwear sweaters for Erica, and my inspiration was the warm and wonderful Princess Diana sweater. It was a little bit earlier than '87, but Indiana's a little bit slower in fashion, so it would have been the sweater to like have at the moment. We changed it, we made it blue, we put Scotty dogs instead of sheep, and just kind of flipped the script of that. It's a bit preppy, but fashionable. This is her growing up.
I have room for everyone here.
This is Jamie Campbell Bower as Mr. Whatsit. He's basically 5 separate characters within this show, which is exciting. And to get to do something like this that's completely different was fun. The Duffer brothers told me they imagine him as like a creepy Mr. Rogers. So the first thing I thought was that red cardigan that he would change into when he gets home. So I loved the idea of having a pop of red, but also keeping it feeling very warm and friendly. It's also kind of similar to Brenner. You can imagine that there's a bit of an influence, even subconsciously. And then I really wanted the shirt to be kind of a sort of tonal cream because I felt like white would just be too harsh. I really wanted it to feel soft and warm. And so, you know, we added the red here, and I gave him red socks. You know, I really think a gentleman in the 50s wasn't wearing red socks, but I just like that. I love to stay true to the time, but I also realize this is a science fiction show, and I think I get to have a little creative license to make some stuff up. Mr. Clark comes back this season. I think the fans are going to be excited to see him, and he's more integrated. He's actually going to be helping the battle. I liked the idea of adding some bright pops of color on some of the other characters. The brothers wanted like sort of a dorky jacket, so we went with a simple windbreaker, but I think this feels like classic Mr. Clark. Here is our colorful outfit for Holly. It was script specific, so I made sure to put bright pops of color. I also found an Etsy vendor that was making bracelets. I don't think they know what they made the bracelet for. In fact, I know they don't know. This is not only custom fabric, but it's vintage buttons, which was really fun. And this sweater was custom made by Broadway Cheer in Los Angeles. They're a 100-year-old company that still use original knitting machines. So they made our cheerleading outfits last season, and I called them up and I said, can you make this sweater this season? So luckily they had these nice bright colors, and they made this for us. Here is our Holly the Heroic. I think this turned out beautifully. This is our printed fabric with our cotton and our little lace detail, the scalloped edge. The nice thing about this velvet is it feels vintage. Originally, the script actually said red cape, and when I mentioned that to the brothers, it kind of felt too Red Riding Hood, and we settled on this beautiful ochre, sort of old gold color. It has a beautiful dimension. It also collects like the age really well, so when we put dirt, it's gathered on there. She collects Henry's neckerchief, and this is a original Boy Scout sash. We found Boy Scout uniforms on Etsy and eBay because we'll later see young Henry in a Boy Scout uniform. This is technically a prop, so we crossed over on that, in that they supply the catch and then we supply the neckerchief. So sometimes you work together interdepartmentally to like make one thing happen. I love this Nancy outfit so much. Sometimes I'm asked like what characters' outfits would you wear the most? I think Nancy. This jacket was custom made and I felt like it harkens back to her season 1 and 2 outfits. So I really enjoyed using like custom velvet for the piping, stitching to make some padded shoulders. It's actually upholstery fabric because I wasn't finding a raspberry color that I liked the most. I knew all along that I would want this ombre variegated sweater vest. We made that with somebody that actually makes these out of her motorhome. She is a traveling knitter, and so we have to reach out to her and say, where are you this time? Complimented with these beautiful Guess jeans. Guess did these custom for us as well. I was very specific about the wash of these. I really wanted it to have that acid stone wash. These fit her like a glove. And she wears these with some really great Adidas sneakers. So I think they were custom for us. I think that they've added this mesh, which I don't think is particularly period correct, but I love it. And I think they look so vintage, so I think they're great. So we're in the costume warehouse. This is where many things happen. We're overflowing with fabric. I've got fabric here. I've got fabric from previous seasons. This is fabric that we're working on this season. So each character has a bin. And as we build their clothes, the leftover fabric goes in their bin, so it all stays together. We also keep track of it in our made-to-order book. So each character has a very specific page for each garment that's made for them. It's listed with all the fabrics, all the thread, all the notions, and as we build it, we put it in their section. So this helps us keep track of what we're building as we build it. Ideally, the fabric is dead stock fabric, which is hard to find. You want to look for those fabric shops that have bad reviews online. My shopper Caroline and I were looking online. She saw that there was a Yelp review about how how bad this fabric shop was, and it had such old fabric, nothing new, and we were like, let's go. If we can't find the great old fabric, we print it. I work with the art department to make a repeating graphic, so it's printed on a large scale in yardage, and then that is printed for us, but ideally I'm using the real thing. It's one thing I've learned in this business, I will always have a plan B, C, D, because I never want to put all my eggs in one basket. This is Jamie Cockerham. She is our head cutter fitter. We're remaking some Dustin pants. He's in a guest pant all season. We actually need more pants because as the scripts were released, I learned how much goo was gonna get on him. So sometimes we have to build more than we anticipated needing. We're lucky enough to have quite a bit of building time, but because the schedule changes so fast, it's a very quick pivot to this room and the age dye room when I suddenly have to ask them to make something much sooner than they planned. For fabrics, we think ahead of time if we're noticing we're running low on a fabric and it's a multiple that we keep building throughout the season, we try to always have extra fabric on hand so that
Just in case moments.
yeah, when that schedule does change, we know. For example, the holly fabric. Here's some holly fabric we have on hand because any minute she could grow out of this. That is a specific challenge with working with children because they're going to keep growing. That will not stop for production. It's very fun to see them growing big, but it's not fun when I have to ask you to make another multiple. We're very lucky to have the resources to make stuff from scratch. I just think about TV, you know, even in the 80s, granted you'd be able to buy the clothes in multiples. We're working backwards and trying to recreate them 40 years later, but we're lucky to have the time to do it. Come on into the fitting room. This is where we have all of our fittings. Right now it looks a little bit empty, but usually it's full of images and reference photos. We set up nice lighting so that it feels like it captures the colors that are gonna reflect on screen. We go through the garments, we make alterations, we'll do a check fit. Once we make the alterations happen and make it fit perfectly and ready for camera, it comes this way into the prep line. Before it's delivered to camera, it needs to go onto the costume trailer. Before it gets to the trailer, it's bagged and tagged for organization, which keeps continuity. And in order to do that, I have the help of my key customers. We have Megan Robinson and Gina Nally.
Hello. Hi.
Between the department being so big, Gina works with Age Dye, Megan works with the tailor shop to make everything is connected and finished before it goes into the bag. So all of Holly's multiples are in here, and between here and the truck, there's quite a lot. We often shoot out of order, so I'll have to make it at different levels of dirty. We saw how it was made, fitted, put on camera, shot on camera clean, but it has to be dirty. They're in this like gooey cocoon. So inside of that, nobody really knows what that is. It's made up. I printed out photos of like rotting fruit, rusty pipes, stuff that just felt really corroded. We wanted this sort of like gross texture on them, and the bros, we showed them some samples and they really liked how this looked. We put like a reddish, almost like blood tint to it. And then Holly has also been through a lot in these overalls. She's captured by a Demogorgon in her house at the beginning of the season. So she has leftover debris from the roof. Then she goes into the tub with her mom, so she's wet, then she's dry. When she's captured in that cocoon, she's gone through all this, so we have to track all these levels. The intention is to make sure that all the wear spots are natural. We think about what areas would brush up against trees or leaves, so we really have to imagine before they even do it on camera what it's gonna be. So all of Holly's multiples are in here. Between here and the truck, there's quite a few multiples. There's quite a lot. So for Holly's sweater, we did create a sweater in Los Angeles that was original design, custom made for us. And my backup plan was Benettons, which the colors were a little off. The colors were a little bit more faded. And the script is to be in a colorful outfit. So I liked using this. But it actually behooved us to use the Benetton one because now we have a bunch of multiples from Benetton. So we're able to use both, actually, which is rare. Both are on the show for Holly, and they look incredible. Here's an example of the overall. It looks so cute. We love the custom fabric. She complements this outfit with custom mini Tonka boots. We actually had made an original prototype with Jitterbug Boy out of leather. The Duffer brothers wanted the boot to feel substantial, but unfortunately, we were not able to get enough in time, so we ended up using Minnetonka. Minnetonka made this beautiful boot for us, based off of a custom design, but also very integral to like what they would have made in the 80s. I asked for pink fringe, pink stitching, this little kind of back piece. Kind of goes with her colorful outfit. It's not directly the same colors, but I like that it's a little off and that a girl would just reach for it. Complemented with this beautiful Benetton sock that they also made for us custom, and they have terry inside, so they're actually super comfortable for now. Benetton was a huge brand in the 80s, and I really felt like it was important to use them because it's true to the time, and they were able to recreate some custom stuff for us, so it was super helpful to have Benetton on the team. This is our Age Dye shop, also known as Breakdown. I like to call these people the breakdown artists because I think this is really an art, what they do. This is Jeffrey Mayhew. He is now working on the spindly bits that we had put on the Holly outfit. He's putting this on Roger's outfit right now.
We are using what's called Baldies. It is a liquid vinyl, and makeup uses it for bald cap application. But in our application, we're putting it on the clothes and spraying it with alcohol to dissolve it. Leaves behind these spindly, icky, creepy little bits. And we have different colors to create the layering effect. We are given one piece to work on, a sample, and then we show her, she approves it. And once she approves it, we're given more multiples, whether they be multiples for the hero, a stunt person like you see here, and then a dummy like right here. And we recreate that exact effect on every garment. If I put a piece here, I'm putting a piece here. And that does take some time. Each jacket or garment can take anywhere from 2 to 4 hours to complete. The first process to this whole thing is shading it with airbrushing first, and then we go back in and layer stuff on top of that. So there's multiple processes that we go through for each garment.
There is, and I often like to add texture because I think texture also reads on camera. The different colors of these bits really add a good dimension. If someone's actively been like battling or fighting, we like to kind of wear in the clothes with some texture, then shadow, then add all the bits. A lot of times we add blood and goo in front of the directors so they can tell us the amount they want, because they're ultimately the ones that have this vision. We can guess how much goo is there, but until they're in front of the directors, they may say, oh no, they're slathered, covered in it. That's very specific and you can't go backwards. Akers is a character that's new this season, and he's part of a wolf pack. And this is sort of a mercenary group of soldiers that were gathered by Dr. K, who's a new villain this season. And it was fun to get to do a new military look that was inspired by Frank Darabont, who thought the wolf pack should look different from every soldier we've been used to seeing. We see military in woodland camo, we see our OD green soldiers down below, but we wanted to have a different look for our wolf pack. And then this is Akers. As you can see, he's a very tall man, and luckily Tavares here is also very tall and can work on this. So Akers in the series goes through quite a lot, so we're really breaking down his outfit, and he's also been sprayed by acid. Makeup did a great job of having this scarred face, so we imagine that that would also spread down onto his collar. So Tavares is adding the dimension and the color.
So it really was just something as simple as burning the safety pin and just poking the different holes through. And so it gives that like wax feel like it actually been burned and changing colors, and you see the plastic getting exposed. And then we went in there with just like some yellow and brown paint to just add just more dimensions to make it look more realistic and make it pop.
It's super inspiring for me too, because I know a script and I know what happens, but to see them come up with these creative ideas that I may not have considered is always so cool. You've got a whole separate space for dyeing, because chemicals and dye particles can float around, and you want to keep that separate from any like pristine, clean clothing. We love RIT dye. We use all the RIT dye that we can.
And this is a trail of my path and journey to get to the final color. The fabric is really large, and it's hard to take the whole piece of fabric out and dry it, but I take a little corner off and know from that how much more dye I need to add to the bath.
And you can blame me for that, because I picked a hoodie for Will's final outfit that eventually, unfortunately, sold out rather quick. So we just built it ourselves to match, and so apologies, but you got there, and it looks great.
We made magic.
Yeah, we made magic for sure. We're finding that Mike is in more serious tones. He's more adult looking while still looking youthful. It's that delicate balance where I want them to still feel like kids, but they're growing up. He's there to help his friends, and I feel like the outfit reflects that. Lucas, it's fun because Lucas is still, like athletic, and he's still a jock. Caleb was specific in that he wanted to show his arms off because he wanted the audience to see he's fighting for his girlfriend. So that was fun to get to show that. Will is interesting because this season is a big arc for him. He has a moment that he becomes very vulnerable with his family and his friends, and that's new for him. So I worked closely with Noah on color for this season. When we see him at the Mac Z, he's in a shirt that almost was on purpose feeling a little powerful. It has a stripe that goes across onto the shoulder. Later, we see him very vulnerable with his family and friends when he kind of has his moment to tell everybody about his true self. We talked about him taking his jacket and his vest off because he wanted to be vulnerable for that moment. We've seen him in vests early in season 1, so again, trying to emulate the silhouettes of previous seasons. This season, since we originally find that Max is still in a coma, her brain body is out in Henry's mindscape. She's trapped there, so she has gone through his memories of his decades past, and so she's hoarding pieces from his memories there. She's also hoarded clothing and gathered pieces from memory. So the brothers wanted it to be sort of a patchwork of clothes from the 50s. I tried to put a poodle skirt on her, but it just felt like pushing it too far. And again, it's not multiples that I can find out in the world, so we kind of made all the pieces and then complemented that with a Levi's denim. Steve is like still classic all-American Steve. You know, I get so excited talking about his clothes because they look so good on him. He's still in his 501s. He's in custom Nikes. He is protective of everybody, so he's making sure that his friends and the kids that are younger than him are safe through everything that they're going through. Robin this season is in a mix of stuff. We put her in a graphic tee this season because she hasn't worn them before. And this season, I think Robin looks very eclectic and it still is comfortable like she would wear. It's still kind of androgynous. I'll put together some outfits, but often she kind of plucks out her favorites. Joyce this season is like in her classic look. Now she's integrated in with the group. We've seen her more physically active than we have in the past, so we made sure to give her clothing that was comfortable, clothing she could move in. Color that she's wearing at the end is very like kind of this vibrant red, and you know, it's like the anger that she's feeling is like coming out. We love Dusty Bun. So Dustin, we find he's still wearing his Hellfire shirt. He still misses his friend Eddie. We made the logo more crackly and faded like he's been wearing it because he has. You know, he's got black sneakers this season. He wore rings like Eddie this season. He's got his hair longer, so he's sort of like mulleted his hair. I chose a hat that's a little darker because he's still in mourning. His colors are reflective of his emotions for sure. Jonathan is classic Jonathan. It's so easy to dress him because we kind of have a silhouette and we have a color palette that is tried and true. Anytime I try to give him too much color, the bros are like, I don't see that for him. So as much as it might feel boring to the audience, there's something comforting in seeing a character kind of remain the same so much, which is also kind of interesting because him and Nancy have gone through some stuff this season, and it's nice to know that he can still be solid for her, and I think that's kind of nice. It's so cool to see fans dress up and to do the cosplay after the fact, but it doesn't play a part of my designs so much because it really is about the storytelling through the script. And then, you know, yeah, it's like they're gonna key in on very specific details, so we do put little Easter eggs every once in a while. Fans may notice that on Max's pants, when she's in her 50s outfits, the patches are actually cut up shirts from young Henry's outfits. So that was kind of a fun nod, and if they notice, that's exciting. You know, I studied fashion design and fashion merchandising, but knew I really wanted to like tell a story with clothing. One thing I've learned in this job, you may feel like you have it, but if you have time to make it better, it always ends up working out in our favor. I feel very lucky to have been able to work with the Duffer brothers. It's a huge show, it's a huge undertaking, and as much fun as it is, it's also a lot of work. But I'm honestly very grateful to have given up that much time for such a fun show that was such a joy to audiences. It has affected so many people and given people so much joy that I'm happy to like have any part of that. So I feel very grateful.